What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with DFS bringing you another video. Today's video going over the Buffalo-Tennessee game tonight. Buffalo favorited by 6 points, and rightfully so. On paper, this should be a Buffalo dominant game. Just both aspects of the field. Tennessee's pass defense is terrible. Their rush defense isn't any better, and the Bills' offense is amazing. And the Bills' defense is amazing. And we honestly haven't seen Tennessee's pass game do much of anything this season. And if we're going to see him do anything, this would be the game. A.J. Brown popped up as questionable yesterday. I'm still waiting to hear what he's going to be tonight. If he does play, I think this actually helps Tennessee's pass game potential be there. If he's out, I just lean more towards the Bills. I do think the prices are really good on DraftKings tonight. Fanduel is a little bit rougher, in my opinion. But I'll go over both sides. So as you can see, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Stefan Diggs are your top four on each site. On Fanduel, you get A.J. Brown and Julio right after. On this, you get Emmanuel Sanders, then A.J. Brown, then Dawson Knox, then Zack Moss, and Julio at 6'6". So obviously a big difference there. You see the difference here. Zack Moss is more expensive on FanDuel, and Sanders is cheaper on FanDuel compared to DraftKings. We go down, someone like Cole Beasley, Devin Singletary, down there in value. Devin Singletary, 8,000. Cole Beasley, 7,500 on FanDuel. The kickers, honestly, are more expensive than Cole Beasley. Blows my mind that something like that happens. You get someone like Gabriel Davis here, 6K. Anthony Frisker for Tennessee, 6K. Nothing that really stands out. Not a lot of low value, though. On FanDuel, it's pretty hard going through just some lines and stuff like that I was liking last night. It is pretty hard to try to get the perfect line together. But on DraftKings, you get someone like I mentioned, Gabriel Davis down there at 2,000. The kickers are pretty cheap. Devin Singletary is 4,600. The Bills' defense is 48. So we'll talk about who you should target today. So on both sites, I think Zack Moss is very undervalued. 95 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, 7,000. I know Devin Singletary is there. I get it. But Zack Moss has taken what he gets for his workload and runs with it. You look at his numbers, his fantasy points per game, all that stuff. He's averaging over 10 fantasy points a game. You look at his yardage, 26, 60s, and then 37. But the thing that also stands out to me is his receiving game as well. So definitely gets his targets, his receptions, 2, 3, 0, 3. Devin Singletary gets in the game. I get it. And you're looking at Zack Moss, who's got 4 total touchdowns. The only game he didn't get a touchdown was last week against Kansas City. I think if they do go in a game where they're ahead, because there's one of two ways that I see this game going. One, Buffalo easily does what they've done all season, and they just get a lead and go with it, and Zack Moss gets his carries. Or two, Tennessee actually puts up a fight, and they can play, and Zack Moss is involved in the pass game, and he gets his receiving yards. Now, the last time I checked, Zack Moss's props for tonight are extremely low for somebody that's going against a defense that's allowed a lot of rushing touchdowns and a lot of rushing yards per attempt in the Tennessee defense. So Zack Moss is a guy that really stands out on both sides for me as someone that you could find mid-tier value. I think on DraftKings, Julio at 6'6", Julio could put up a donut. But having a player like Julio Jones at 6'6", not the worst matchup in the world. Like I said, if A.J. Brown is in tonight, it helps Tennessee. It helps my liking for Tennessee players entirely. We go back to FanDuel, like I mentioned, and the price is high. So, obviously on tonight's, you're going to want to get a quarterback. Josh Allen is probably the safer play, but at the same time, on DraftKings he's 12.8, and on Fanduel he's 17,000. So he takes up a lot of your salary. If you want to go Tannehill, you can go Tannehill. Granted, he's facing, on paper, the best defense in the league right now. And you look at his fantasy points, he's got one game above 20 points. And you look at the defenses they've played, and granted, we know they're a run-heavy team. We know that. But we really haven't seen Ryan Tannehill be able to fight. We saw Seattle when that game went back and forth, and that was the closest game. But Derrick Henry also almost ran for 200 yards that game. You see against the Colts, he puts up the fantasy points. He also does get 56 rushing yards in that game. He's only thrown for more than one touchdown in one game this season. So it's not ruled out for me that I taking Allen over Tannehill 100%. But I do think that this game, like I said, I could see Tennessee finally doing what they've needed to prove this season to show that they could be a contender, and that's use their pass game. You went out and got Julio Jones. You have a phenomenal receiver in A.J. Brown. Use them. We haven't seen it. The prices are great. Derrick Henry, 11.4 on FanDuel, 15. So you're essentially spending on DraftKings half, and this is just putting them in the flex. You essentially just used half your salary on two players, and now you have to fill out the other six. It is doable. Like I said, there's value. Somebody like Gabriel Davis, we've seen come in, get a big receiving touchdown, getting some value there. Obviously, the kickers, Bass and Bullock, are definitely there in play. You could put them in. Let's, for instance, just put one in, and that helps us out with the salary a little bit. I mentioned before, I like Zack Moss, so let's put him in the captain. You got 59. We put someone like Julio in. You notice, we're taking away from the Stefan Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders. You can't even get Cole Beasley, $100 short of getting Cole Beasley in here. So you're going to have to work with your money smartly tonight. There's not a whole lot of bottom value, so you're going to have to pick and choose wisely. Stefan Diggs, obviously, like I said, he's pretty much in the same spot on both sides. The top four players are. Stefan Diggs is probably the receiver to go on Buffalo. Emmanuel Sanders is a little cheaper, $1,000 cheaper on DraftKings, and on FanDuel, $2,500 cheaper. So a little more value there on FanDuel than DraftKings. I honestly think you could play any Buffalo receiver tonight, and they're going to do good. Cole Beasley at 5,400, I think, is somebody that you definitely want to look at. Obviously, you've seen his numbers, and they're not what they were last season. That's because they have someone like Emmanuel Sanders. That's also because Dawson Knox has been included a whole lot more this season than he was last season. Obviously, he's a top 10 fantasy point tight end this season. You look at his numbers, 5, 8, 4. Obviously, he had that long reception last week against Kansas City. But his numbers have been pretty consistent otherwise. 17 yards in the game against Miami. But he does get that touchdown. And he's put up at least 8 fantasy points in every game this season. So, Tennessee has played great against tight ends. Granted, they haven't seen the best tight ends this season as well. And on the Tennessee side, Frisker's there at 4,000. But, I mean, you look at his numbers and nothing really stands out at all. It's very low yardage. 3 receptions, that's it. But you look, and he really hasn't. Longest reception is 14 yards. There's nothing that really stands out there as someone that I want to get. Devin Singletary at 4,600, I do like. I think that price is very good for a running back that gets involved quite a bit. You look at his rushing attempts. Besides last week, he's had 10-plus rushing attempts, and he's got targeted at least 2 times in 4 out of the 5 games. Obviously, the yards aren't there either. But the thing that of why I like Zack Moss, not only in this game but throughout the season, is you look at the fumbles. Devin Singletary has 4 fumbles. That is not what you want out of a running back. So I do think that he should be on, if you're doing 150 lines, he definitely should be in lines tonight. But Zack Moss is just that guy that I like. Like I said, on DraftKings, Julio was way undervalued for you to go to. A.J. Brown, if he plays tonight at 7,800, I'd still probably go Julio than A.J. Brown. Granted, both of them were fighting injuries, but I mean, with the price difference on DraftKings, you should probably go Julio. Fanduel, it's a little different. You could play either one. They're pretty close in price. Obviously, on Fanduel, like I mentioned, Dawson Knox is cheaper than the rest of them. Cole Beasley there in value too. You're going to want to go kickers. I do think if you're playing 150 lines that you should definitely have kickers just because of the price point alone. I mean, and both kickers are reliable too. It's not like they're kickers that are like Greg Zuerlein. Obviously, Randy Bullock, you look at his numbers, he's missed some field goals, but he gets field goal attempts. 11 field goal attempts. He's put up 10-plus fantasy points in 2 games. In a game like tonight where you're facing the best defense on paper, that's probably a guy that you want to get to. Tyler Bass, obviously another guy, same thing. He's put up 10-plus fantasy points in 3 games. The games where he actually gets to kick field goals, where we could see something like tonight, he puts up big fantasy points. So Tyler Bass and Randy Bullock are definitely in my watch as well. You're going to have to watch for Jeremy Nichols. He popped up on the injury report. I definitely think he's somebody else that you should look for. If you need to somehow get some very, very, very lower end value, at 3,000 on DraftKings. I said Gabriel Davis is there as well. I wouldn't go unless A.J. Brown is out tonight. I wouldn't really target any other Tennessee wide receivers. Even Chester Rogers there at 4,400. He pops up on the questionable injury report. It's just not something that I would trust. Granted, if you're playing GPP all tonight, which you should, he's probably going to be in a couple lines. I think you have to. You look at their prices and they're right next to each other, but it's just a matchup against Buffalo and not seeing Tennessee pass the ball a whole lot that you could trust for getting you points tonight. So, yeah. You just pick and choose your battles tonight. You pick and choose. Do you want to stack Derrick Henry against a pretty good Buffalo rush defense? Do you want to pay up for Josh Allen, who you're paying a quarter of your salary for, basically on both sides? There's decisions you're going to have to make. I said Zack Moss and Julio Jones should probably be 2 guys that you get, at least on DraftKings. You look on FanDuel, Zack Moss is still there in price. Cole Beasley is there, bottom down in price, and both sides definitely value there. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content. I try to get it for every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday night slate. I try to. I also have bets posted on my Twitter, so you can go my Twitter at Destroys Here. If you guys want to join our Discord, the link for that will be in the description down below. We have DFS plays. We also have bets that we give out for each slate, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. So if you guys are interested in that, like I said, the link for that will be in the description, and we'll see you in the next one.